All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the campus of Melbourne High School. Tonight, it is high school basketball on tap between the 11 and 1 Melbourne Bulldogs and the 6 and 6 Holy Trinity Tigers. I'm Alan Slaughterzinski, joined alongside my broadcast partner, Caleb. Caleb Brown, as we get set on the floor. Your starters, first for Holy Trinity. Senior guard Eric Parnell, he wears number 0. Elijah Reynolds, who leads Holy Trinity in scoring. Number 3, Theo Mansell. Number 4, Sammy Chaffiot. And number 15, Jack Combs. Your starters for the Melbourne Bulldogs. Number 0, Carlin Gelin. Number 1, Ias Talib. Number 4, Nate King. Number 11, Jalen Clark. And your leading scorer for the Melbourne Bulldogs, he averages a double-double per game, the 6'6" power forward senior, Carlin Gelin. And we are underway, and the tap is controlled by Eric Parnell, who hands it off to Chaffiot. Chaffiot back with the ball in his hands, up underneath, and there's the first 2 of the game as Parnell floats one in, and it's 2-0 Holy Trinity. The Tigers are led by 18th year head coach Steve Henderson. In the corner for 3 is King. King off the iron. He's shooting 37% from beyond the arc this year. He is the Bulldogs' second leading scorer. This is Talib with it. Down the baseline. And the finger roll for Carlin Gelin ties it up at 2. Just underway here on the campus of Melbourne High School. Coach Stevie Henderson, by our count, 324 career victories. In the lane, pulling up from the charity stripe there was Chaffiot. Carlin Gelin comes in, and he'll snag that one for the Bulldogs. This is Jernigan with it now. He's being guarded by Mansell. Talib. Chaffiot on him. Over to Jernigan. Back to King. King from the elbow kicks it out to Talib. Talib for 3. Didn't look good coming off. Twisting and turning. Ball goes out of bounds. It'll be Melbourne basketball. Talib set to inbound. 6:30 to go here. Melbourne led by Rob Apsey. This is his first year at Melbourne. Spent some time at Satellite, 29 and 25. With the Scorpions in a couple of different stints. King pulls up from the free throw line, and he'll drop it home. And the Bulldogs jump on top 4-2. Across the timeline with it, Chaffiot. Nice pitch to Combs. In the corner for Mansell. Mansell back to Chaffiot for 3. Off the front of the iron, Combs battles King for the board, and King wins that battle. Back across the Bulldog comes Melbourne. King being guarded by Parnell. Bounce pass nearly stolen, was stolen. This is, and that is Mansell. And Mansell nearly had the end one, but he'll go to the free throw line and shoot 2. This season, Holy Trinity averaging 56 points per game. They're giving up 47. They shoot 43% from the floor. 37% from 3, and 57% from the free throw line. And Mansell's first shot is good, and it's 4-3 with 5:47 to play in the opening quarter. Bulldogs looking to get to the dozen-win plateau. They are 11-1 coming in here tonight. Second free throw's up, and nothing but the bottom of that net, and we're tied at 4. Talib will walk it up. Chaffiot on him. Across the timeline. Carlin Gelin's being guarded by Jack Combs. King wanted that shot. Over to Talib. Sitting in the corners. Jernigan. He draws 2. Kicks it out to King. From the corner for 3. No good. And coming away with that is Elijah Reynolds, the Tigers' leading scorer. Good-looking bounce pass there. I don't believe any of those players thought that ball was going to make it through. It does, and it ends up back in the hands of the Bulldogs. This is Jernigan with it, the 5'11 senior guard. He runs the point for Coach Apsey. Underneath, Gelin. And Gelin gets his own board. That's his second rebound and his first 2 points. And the Bulldogs lead it 6-4, 4:50 to play in the opening quarter. Chaffiot, the 5'9 junior guard, nearly had that taken away by Jernigan. Underneath, nice play as Parnell kisses that off the glass. Back and forth we go. 6-6 is our score, 4:33. Quarter one. Talib stopped his dribble early, gets it over to Jernigan. Jernigan loses the grip on the dribble and bounces it off of Elijah Reynolds. Out of bounds, Bulldog ball. That's a good-looking picture. Yeah, I think we were smart to just go with a straight Facebook Live tonight. We ain't got to worry about the interruptions, the slow streams. A lot of these older schools just don't get a better signal, and we'll pay homage to our sponsors throughout the broadcast tonight. But I tell you, Melbourne Bulldog basketball, quite a tradition here. King, front of the iron, no good. He's now 0 for 2 from beyond the arc. And if you know Steve Henderson's teams, they like to run with that guard offense. In the corner, back out. Checking in the game now, this is Jaden Gowans, the 5'8 senior. And little pull-up, no foul called. And that ball bounces out of bounds, and the referee says that belongs to the home team, Melbourne Bulldogs. Coach Ron Apsey agrees. The Melbourne Bulldogs this year averaging 61 points per game, giving up 44. They shoot 44% from the floor, 31 from three, and 54% from the line. This is Talib down the lane. The kiss off the glass won't go. Carlin Gelin is there, and Gelin, just the big young man, makes it work. And it's 8-6, Gelin with 4 here in the first quarter, and the Bulldogs lead it 8-6. This is Jaden Gowans over to Parnell. Long three-point shot, no good. That's Caleb Gaskins. He's an 8th grader. Dribble to leave off his foot, out of bounds. Ball will go back to the Holy Trinity Tigers. Of course, for 2 decades here at Melbourne, Mike Sullivan, the head coach, Hall of Famer, 27 seasons he was here, 30 years at the school, won 569 games, an average of 19 per season. Nice pull up from about 8 feet, falls for Elijah Reynolds, and it's 8-6. This is Deuce Ingram now. And also in the game is Kylier Jacinte. Long three for King. And Nate King with a tray. And the Bulldogs pull out in front 11-8. I thought it was 8-8. Scoreboard was slow on the uptake there. So King hits his first 3 of the night, and it's 11-8 Melbourne. This is Gaskins with it. Gaskins sets a nice pick there. Gowans back to Mansell, and Carlin Gelin is off and running. Look at that move. Gelin manages. They wanted the walk, won't get it. He slipped. Thought maybe he did travel there. No call, but Gelin, what a spin move from the big guy, and it's 13-8 Bulldogs. I don't think the referee could believe the spin move. Gelin with 6. Gaskins with it now. Gowans over to Reynolds. Reynolds tries to get that baseline, won't get it, spins out. Gets it back to Gowans. Gowans over to Parnell. Parnell being guarded closely by Jacinte. Nice move there. The crowd's starting to get into this one. And that ball's on the floor, and we're going to have our first jump ball of the game. The possession arrow belongs to the Holy Trinity, the Melbourne Bulldogs. We're going to get a timeout on the floor. So we were talking about Mike Sullivan and the job that Mike Sullivan did here at Melbourne. No doubt Mike Sullivan, along with some of the other greats and legends in Brevard County basketball, 569 games, Coach Sullivan won here. 19 years, only 2 losing. He averaged 19 wins a year, only 2 losing seasons. Won his 400th game in 2013 against Cocoa, collected 500 against Liberty in 2016, 2017. Coach Sullivan's teams won 10 district championships. They won 30-8 in the playoffs since 2014 to the time he retired. And, of course, they won the regional championship and played in the state 7A Final Four tournament on 2 different occasions in 14 and then again in 16. And right now, they've got 2 Bulldogs who are doing some outstanding things in college basketball. How about Max Fiedler for the Rice Owls? Max is averaging this season 9 boards or 9 rebounds a game. He leads Rice in that category. Also 9.5 points per game. Gelin in the corner. Jacinte for 3. Won't fall. Gelin, that's the travel they were looking for before. 59.2 seconds to go. Melbourne on top, 13-8. But Max Fiedler for the Rice Owls has a starting role. And what about what Noah Horkler's doing? Noah Horkler for the Providence Friars, the 16th ranked Providence Friars, who were 13-2, although they got their clocks cleaned pretty good the other night. But Noah Horkler's having an outstanding year for Providence. He's averaging 10 points and 8 boards a game. He leads Providence in rebounds. So you got Fiedler that leads Rice in rebounds, and you got Horkler that leads Providence in that same category. So you think Coach Sullivan taught to go get your shot? We got 43.1 seconds to play here in the first. It's 13-8 Melbourne on top. Jacinte tried to steal that one. Look at that move, but he walked. And that is what made the move so very special, was that extra step. 30 seconds to play. This is Jalen Clark with it. Jalen with an outstanding season on the gridiron this year for Melbourne. This is Talib. Talib baseline, tried to kick it out. He does, just to the wrong player. That's Jack Combs running with it. Combs gets it to Gowans. Gowans, reverse layup. Won't go. Fighting for it. 223s. Caleb Gaskins, the 8th grader. But taking it away is 23 for Melbourne, who, unfortunately, if anybody on here can tell me who that is, I do not know, because I do not have a 23 on my roster. I checked with Coach before the game, too. Long in, Talib steals it. Jalen Clark lays it down, beats the buzzer. Did he beat the buzzer? And they say no, he did not beat the buzzer. Look good, though. We have reached the end of quarter number 1, and Clark just missed the buzzer, and it's 13-8 Melbourne. I don't think he could. I mean, he did the only thing he could have done to beat the buzzer, which was to dunk it. You lay it up, and it's not going to fall down. But, all right, so surprise, surprise, Carlin Gelin leads all scorers with 6 in the first quarter. And the Bulldogs lead this 13-8. And there's a good look at the Melbourne Bulldog cheerleaders, who, of course, do an outstanding job. I'd like to welcome in everyone watching here on the Brevard Sports Network. We got a special Saturday matinee for you tomorrow in basketball on the girls' side of the equation, as we'll be down at O'Galley High School. Manny Larice and his O'Galley Commodores are hosting the Space Coast Vipers, who are having a good year as well. So Space Coast and O'Galley tomorrow at 12:30 right here on Brevard Sports Network. And then Caleb and I will hop in the BSN Mobile, and we will head over to Orlando. We won't be broadcasting it, but we're going to go over and cover the Elite 100 All-Star game tomorrow night. So we're excited about that. A lot of Brevard County young men playing in that game. Long three. Nate King. Talib was there. That goes off and out, and that'll be Melbourne basketball. 7:47 to go here in the first half. Melbourne on top, 13-8. Talib into King. King wanted that three. Gelin, Talib, Jalen Clark. This is Clark for three, no good. And Talib's feet hit the floor before he could throw that in. This quarter brought to you by Beachway Volleyball Club. Coach and club director Michelle Rycroft. She does an outstanding job. Check her out online at beachwayvolleyball.club. That shot from three hits nothing. Combs is there to clean it up, but he won't be able to. Melbourne playing some great defense. Gelin comes away with it. Ahead to Talib. Talib to King. Just a little bit beyond his reach, but he corrals it in. Talib. Look at Talib down the lane off the glass. That's a Butte Clark, and it's 15-8 Bulldogs. Walking it across the timeline is Elijah Reynolds. Reynolds being guarded by Clark. He gets it over to Theo Mansell. Mansell to Combs. Underneath. Combs probably should have went up with that. And that's a nice little fade away from about 6.5 feet by Theo Mansell. And the Holy Trinity Tigers cut the lead to 5 at 15-10. This is Nate King with it. King down the lane, off the glass, won't go. Gelin grabs his fourth rebound, but it's stolen away. And this will be a tie-up, and that should be Holy Trinity basketball. Checking back into the game is Eric Parnell, and checking out will be, there's always one on each team. That's number 5. No clue who he is because he's not on my roster. Yeah, it's funny because you say to him, Coach, roster good? We're good, Alan. They have much more to worry about than whether their max preps rosters are good. Right. Well, that's my fault because I don't go to them. I go to the head coach. And Combs goes up with it, and he'll be fouled. Let's see who the foul is on. I would imagine this is going to go on Gelin, and it is. That'll be Gelin's first. I'll tell you what, for such a big guy that plays such a physical game, Gelin is so good at not getting himself in foul trouble. I think this is about the 6th or 7th game over the last 2 years that I've done of Carlin Gelin's, and I've never seen the young man foul out or get himself in foul trouble. It is 15-11 Melbourne on top, 5:47 to play here in the first half. Second free throw from Combs is good, and Holy Trinity on a 4-0 run that cuts the lead to 3. 15-12. Walking the ball back up is Carlin Gelin, 5'11 senior, down the lane with it. He spins, turns, fires, bounces, no good. Chaffiot comes flying in, picks up the rebound, and that ball, I don't know how he ended up with it again, Reynolds, but it's taken away again. Nate King, 18-12, Melbourne. Chaffiot over to the 8th grader. Pull up, and a little pull up from about 4 feet is good by Theo Mansell, and it's 17-12. 17-14, sorry, check that. 4:50 to go. Talib to Gelin again. This time Gelin was fouled, and he'll go to the free throw line. That, it will be on Eric Parnell. We okay? Okay. Just said live video broadcast. Yeah, well, right now it's glitching. I don't need that. 4:46. Gelin. Well, we're in that little lull there. 18-14. And we'll go straight data on it. It is what it is, man. These buildings are old. We do the best we can to get a signal out. 18-14 is the score. 4:37 to play here in the first half. Talib now with it. Seems to be okay right now. 4:20. Talib over to Jalen Clark. You've got King, Clark, Talib, Gelin, and Jacinte on the floor for Melbourne. That's Chapiot on him. Carlin Gelin! Oh! It was that extra step that didn't allow him to get the elevation he was looking for. 3:53, and the score remains 18-14. A tray will cut it to 1. 2 will cut it to 2. And we get a whistle and a timeout by Coach Steve Henderson. 30-second timeout on the floor. So we seem to be okay right now. We good? All right. I don't know, man. It just happens every once in a while. Packed house here tonight. You know, we were talking about Noah Horkler and Max Fiedler before. Both outstanding players here at Melbourne. You remember back to the days when Max Fiedler and Horkler were here. Fiedler was the Florida Dairy Farmer 8A Player of the Year and was a finalist for Mr. Basketball. Horkler, I remember voting for Horkler when I was over at Space Coast Daily as our Player of the Year then. So Horkler was a Player of the Year. And as like I said, you know, Horkler last week made the Big East Honor Roll team. He averaged a double-double against Seton Hall and DePaul. And he had averaged 14 points and 10 boards against those two teams in 2 Providence wins. Kicks it out. 3-point shot. That's a beautiful shot by Willie Thompson, the sophomore. And they have indeed cut the lead to 1 as the sophomore comes off the bench and drains a 3. We've got us a 1-point game with 3 minutes to go in the first half. How about the sophomore? Gets his hands on it. And Holy Trinity with an opportunity to take the lead here. Theo Mansell won't fall. But following it up is Willie Thompson. And Thompson off the bench with 5. That's the difference. Holy Trinity up 19-18. 2:43 to play in the first half. Jacinte back to Clark. Clark's got King on the left. Gelin inside. 2-3 zone for Holy Trinity. They tried to force it inside to Gelin, and that's going to be ball. Caleb Gaskins comes away with it. Talib steals it. Gelin steals it back. Carlin Gelin to the corner for King for 3, and it's good. You'll take them any way you can get them. I don't think that's the way Coach Ashby drew it up, but he'll take it, and Melbourne's on top, 21-19 with 2 minutes to play in the first half. Y'all don't have to keep asking me for the score. I'll give it every minute and a half. 21-19, 1:40 to go in the first half. 3, no good. Talib there. And Chapiot will come away with it. And the long headman pass for Willie Thompson won't land in his hands. It lands out of bounds, and with 1:26 to go, the ball will go back to the Melbourne Bulldogs. And walking it up. Got to get a little quicker than that. You only get 10 seconds to get it across that timeline. That was Deuce Ingram. Over in the corner for King. Ingram with it. This is Jalen Clark. Now Nate King back to Clark. Clark tries to. Holy Trinity still in that 2-3 zone. And they're playing pretty disciplined with it. Ingram being guarded by Reynolds. Now he cuts inside the lane. and count the bucket as Deuce Ingram gives the Bulldogs a 4-point, 23-19 lead. He's got a chance to make it 5. Ingram in and out, no good. The lead will stay. Under a minute to go, first half. 23-19, Melbourne on top. Nice little head fake there by Reynolds. And Reynolds drops a 3. And it's 23-22 with 30 seconds to go in the first half. Three-point specialist Noah Petroni's on now. Ingram to Petroni. Petroni wanted to look, won't get it. Holy Trinity still in that 2-3. Back to Ingram, over to Petroni. Nobody in the corner. Ingram with it now. 6 seconds. Petroni, they got to get a shot off. This is Clark down the lane, underneath, out of bounds. Half a second to go. So we'll go to the locker room with Melbourne on top. 23-22. Great first half of basketball here on the campus of Melbourne High School. We'll be back with the second half coming up in about 8 minutes. All right, let's take a couple minutes here to talk about high school boys high school basketball here in Brevard County. Let's start with the 11-1 Melbourne Bulldogs, who play in 6A District 8. And you look at Melbourne, and let's look at their schedule the rest of the way. Of course, they got Holy Trinity. They have got a pretty tough stretch coming up here. Monday night, of course, Caleb and I will be splitting up Monday night. We're going to do soccer and basketball. Melbourne's going to be taking on Satellite. That's going to be right here at Melbourne. That's going to be a good one, Saturday or Monday night. And then we're also going to follow Melbourne down Babcock Street and over to Commodore Boulevard Wednesday as they take on O'Galley. And then they got to play Rains, Palm Bay, Vero Beach, and at Cocoa. So that's a pretty tough stretch to come out of the break with. Melbourne will know a lot about themselves and about how playoff ready they are. Following that, they've got games against Clearwater, Lake Highland Prep, Centennial, Calvary Chapel, and Central Florida Christian Academy. Now, when you look at the standings in terms of boys basketball rankings in 6A, Melbourne is 11th or 12th in there. Melbourne is 13th. They have an RPI of 16.051. And then you look at regions, because that's what's going to matter come playoff time. The district standings right now, for Melbourne, Heritage always going to be a tough, scrappy team. Okay, Heritage is 7-6. Heritage scores a lot of points. So they're 7-6. But for Melbourne, this is Melbourne's district to take. They win the district, they get an automatic home game. Now, then you get thrust into that 6A Region 2 pool. And this is where the RPI and the rankings really begin to matter. Melbourne would be a 3 seed right now in Region 2, behind Lakeland and Winter Haven. And Melbourne, again, with a 16.051 RPI, which is all based on strength of schedule. Lakeland at a 20.127, and Winter Haven just ahead of them at 20.297. So Melbourne would be a 3 seed in Region 2. Now, obviously, that's going to change as the season progresses. And, as Melbourne gets these tougher games, you're going to see that RPI go up. Holy Trinity, they're in a little bit of trouble in terms of RPI. Currently, in 3A Region 3, they're 7th. So Holy Trinity's going to have to win that district, because I don't see a path unless they continue to, win all of their games. This is going to help their RPI tonight, playing Melbourne. But you look at 3A District 9, Holy Trinity, West Shore, Cocoa Beach, Edgewood, MCC, and New Dimensions. If you go through that right now, and Cocoa Beach is, Space Coast. Melbourne, or Holy Trinity, should be the district champ out of this district. They are the best team in this district. So they win a district championship. That's obviously an automatic qualifier into the FHSAA tournament. So they don't have to worry about an at-large there or district runner-up thing. But they get in that RPI. Right now, again, they would be the 7th seed in Region 3. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But if you know Steve Henderson, we were talking about Mike Sullivan earlier. Steve Henderson has also carved out a pretty nice legacy. He's averaging 18, 19 wins a year for 18 years, 19 years at Holy Trinity. Done a hell of a job himself. Again, coming up tomorrow here on BREVARD Sports Network, we'll have girls basketball. Our original slate tonight included, we were going to do Coco's girls, who were taking on Clearwater. That was a big game on the girls bracket. And the boys were taking on Satellite. That was the Feature Friday matchups. But both of those games canceled for COVID issues. So obviously we picked up what we felt was the next best affair on the docket tonight, and that was Holy Trinity and Melbourne. Tomorrow, we've got O'Galley and Space Coast girls here on BREVARD Sports Network, and that'll be a 12:30 game. And then we'll head over to Jones High School, where Brevard County High School football will be on full display in the Elite 100 game. So, smell of popcorn throughout the gym is that's a pretty good selling tool right there. I see Melbourne Bulldog quarterback Hunter Turner over there. Just walked out the door. You can always spot Hunter because he's got the snow hat on. What's that? Skull cap on with the blonde locks coming out of the back. Melbourne student section is out in full force. You know, as much as we were bragging on Merritt Island student section, that soccer game last night, or was it last night? Last night. That student section's pretty good over there, too. So we got a.
West Melbourne Little League All-Stars running around.
Yeah, West Melbourne Little League All-Stars. Billy Palmer in the house. You're not going to see. Well, you might see Billy down there. There he is. There's Billy. Billy Palmer in the house. All right, we get set to start the second half here on Brevard Sports Network. Once again, we want to thank all of our sponsors, OMG, Hibachi Grill, Best Private Investigators, Uber Zotti, Beachway Volleyball Club, and on the floor to start for Melbourne will be Kylan Jernigan, Yais Talib, and Nate King, Jalen Clark, and Carlin Gelin. And for Holy Trinity, it'll be Eric Parnell, Elijah Reynolds, Theo Mansell, Sammy Chaffiot, and Jack Combs. Actually, yeah, Combs is out there. He was just tucked behind Carlin Gelin. I couldn't see him. They'll switch sides. Melbourne in white, moving from right to left on your handheld device. Bounce pass. Tried to get that in the corner, and Eric Parnell couldn't grab it in, but Coach Henderson says, Hunter, one of our MVP candidates. 3, good. That's how you start the second half as Kylan Jernigan drains a tray, and it's 26-22. Melbourne up by 4. Across the timeline, Chaffiot with it. Gets it over to Parnell. Oh, I'm sorry, Mansell, Theo Mansell. And Mansell with some touch. And it's 26-24. Melbourne up by 2. 7:11 to go in the third quarter. Talib over to Clark. Clark back to Jernigan. Clark. Jernigan played catch with it. And finally, Jernigan with a long 3. He misses that one. Parnell with the rebound. The long outlet for Reynolds. Behind the back to Combs. That's how that was supposed to go, right? Doesn't matter. We're tied. 26-26. Elijah Reynolds with the no-look 30-footer pass. Coach Steve Henderson says, you know what? I'll take it. Yep. Yeah, let's not do it again, though. And that rebound, Talib nearly got the end one, and to the line to shoot 2 will be Yais Talib. That's why I only spend $1 on them. Talib's first free throw attempt is up and good. Talib is an 86% free throw shooter this year. Second free throw, that'll get him to 87 or 88, as he is now .20. That shot won't fall off the top of the backboard. Long 3 for Combs off the back of the arm. Chaffiot follows the shot up. Short. They're all short or long, but they keep getting their own rebounds. And ball is stolen away by a hustling Jernigan, who pulls up for three, and he drops his second of the second half, and the Bulldogs are off and running here on a 5-2 start to the second half, and it's 31-26. The lead is 5. This is Theo Mansell. Mansell to Parnell in the corner to Reynolds. Back to Parnell. Parnell over to Combs. Chaffiott with it. Cross court pass to Parnell. Parnell taking in the lane, loses the grip on it. Combs is there to pick it up. Needed to shoot, does not. Reynolds pulls up for three. Short underneath was Parnell. He has it stripped. King is there, and that'll go out of bounds and stay with the Bulldogs. 31-26, Melbourne up by 5 with 5:03 to play in the third quarter. King walks it across the Bulldog there, gets it underneath to Carlin Gelin, who loses the grip. It's going to be a jump ball. Where's the bonus arrow? Pointing towards the Holy Trinity Tigers, and that's which way it'll go. So it's 31-26, Melbourne. And this was the sophomore who came in at the end of the half, and Willie Thompson, and scored 5 points. He hit a three and then dropped the two. Baseline, covered up. Gelin blocks him, and Carlin Gelin will be called for his second foul of the night. And to the free throw line will go Theo Mansell. Score stays 31-26 with 4:37 to play in the third. That's a great crowd here tonight. Second free throw is up and no good. And Jalen Clark comes away with it. Clark will walk it, gives it to King, who fires a deep three from Babcock Street. No good. Jernigan there, and Jernigan throws it off with Caleb Gaskins. And Gaskins is frustrated with himself, goes out of bounds. Talib inbounds. Jernigan with a quick three, won't fall, but there to scoop up the ball is Jaden Gowans. Gowans has his pocket picked by Talib, and he gives the ball to the sophomore guard, Elijah Reynolds, who's being guarded by the junior Jernigan. Kicks it out in the corner. Gaskins for three, no good. And Holy Trinity is 0 in the three category here in the second half. Carlin Gelin gets up higher than the shot for his third block of the night. The score stays 31-26. And we're going to get a foul away from the ball, which drives coaches crazy. And the foul situation currently, Holy Trinity with 2, Melbourne with 1. Talib set to inbound. Checking in is going to be Deuce Ingram, the 6-foot sophomore guard, will inbound the ball. Ingram to King in the corner. King dribbles. Jernigan. This is Jernigan for three. And Jernigan with his third three of the half. And it's 34-26. The lead is 8. I'd like to welcome in Pop Jones from the Cocoa Tigers, who were supposed to have that game tonight, Satellite and Cocoa. Parnell pulls up for three, and that won't fall. Nice rebound there by Gaskins. That shot won't go from Reynolds, and off and running goes the Melbourne Bulldogs. How about points 10 and 11 for Jernigan in the second half, and the Melbourne Bulldogs take a 10-point, 36-26 lead. .305 to play in the third. going to be fun to watch that Cocoa Tiger team next week when they come back from get on the floor, and they're finally able to get on the floor, and all the football players are back, and they're 4-4. I think they're right where they want to be. How about that coast-to-coast shot? Right now, Holy Trinity can't catch a break. And King in the corner for Deuce Ingram. Ingram back to King. King over to Jernigan, who's got 11 by my count here in the third alone. 3 threes and a 2. Ingram with it. Baseline. And the sophomore, Willie Thompson, says, I'll take that, please. Back across the timeline is Elijah Reynolds with it quickly. Reynolds kicks it out to Thompson. Thompson down the lane. And for the second consecutive Willie Thompson shot, Carlin Gelin rejects it. And it's 36-26. Here's our defensive player of the year sitting down there on the floor. And Gavin Rao. You can definitely always find Gavin. He's got the blonde locks, too. He just ain't wearing the skull cap. I believe Gavin will be over there tomorrow night. I got to get the roster of who's playing over there tomorrow. Willie Thompson for 3. Yes, indeed. And the sophomore flashes the 3, his second of the night. And it's 36-29. Melbourne up by 7. King in the corner. That's Jacinte now with it. Deuce Ingram to the free throw line to Gelin. He works his way inside, and Gelin will be fouled by Thompson, and Carlin Gelin will go to the line and shoot 2. 1:39 to play in the third. Neither of these teams, unless they have a stellar fourth quarter, will hit their points per average per game. And Gelin, who's a good free throw shooter for a big guy, 66% from the charity stripe this year. 61 points per game for Melbourne, 56 for Holy Trinity. Second free throw is also good, and Melbourne out to a 9-point lead at 38-29. Set to inbound will be 38-29, not 38. 39-38, my bad on that one. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. This is Parnell with it, stolen away, ahead to Talib. Talib to Gelin. Oh, he lost the grip on it, but it still goes. When it's going right, it's going right, and it's going right for the Bulldogs at the moment. The lead, the largest of the night, 40-29. It's 11. That was almost catastrophic. Stolen away again, and this is Jernigan, pulls up wisely. He didn't have the numbers. Talib underneath. Talib. Jernigan. Talib. Somebody wants the 3. Nice job. Kicks it over to Jacinte. He'll dribble into the lane. Talib pulls up from the elbow and drops it. And the lead is 42-29, and the Bulldogs are starting to pull away. This is Tyler Costin. Knocked out, and Talib will be credited for the rebound. Underneath to Gelin. Gelin off the glass, and it's 44-29. Melbourne now under 10 to go here in the third. And Melbourne just playing all kinds of defense right now. Over to Talib for 3. Nope. And that'll take us to the end of the third, where it was all Melbourne in that one. Your score, the Melbourne Bulldogs 44, The Holy Trinity Tigers, 29. Well, it was 3 touchdowns and 3 extra points for the Bulldogs in that third quarter. And Holy Trinity managed to get in the end zone once with an extra point. No, I'm kidding. Melbourne outscored Holy Trinity. This was a 23-22 game at the half. Melbourne outscored Holy Trinity 21-7 in that third quarter and now lead it 44-29. The lead is 15 now. 15 for the Bulldogs. Start of the fourth. Coming up tomorrow on BSN at 12:30, be the O'Galley Lady Commodores and the Space Coast Lady Vipers. And prep basketball. King for 3. Nice touch, too long. And they got numbers now. This is coasting, and Nate King comes flying in, pins it, drops it, but it'll stay Holy Trinity ball with 7:36 to go. Yeah, that 3 is good, and it's 44-32. Jernigan in the corner there for Clark. Clark back to King. King in trouble. Jacinte gets him out of it. King in the corner. This is Clark with it. Clark down the lane, kicks it out. Yes, indeed, the 4-3 of the second half for Mr. Carlin Gelin, and it's 47-32. He's got 14 in the second half. 6:50 to play in the game. That one's thrown away, but Coaston is there to save the day. And that'll be a foul on Clark. Carlin Gelin has lit up the lamps here on the scoreboard in the second half. 4 threes and a 2. 3 threes and a 2. No, he's got 14. Yeah, he's got 4 threes. That 3 looked good coming off, and it's good going in. Caleb Gaskins, the 8th grader, drops a tray, and it's 47-35, Melbourne on top. Jernigan across the timeline with it. Had it nearly taken away. Ball's on the floor. This will be some sort of a tie-up. The possession arrow is for the Holy Trinity Tigers. Melbourne takes a timeout, and with 6:14 to play in the game, Melbourne leads it by 12, 47-35. They've seen some exciting basketball here. In case you're just joining us, we were talking a little bit earlier about a couple of former Bulldogs and Noah Horkler and Max Fiedler. Max, of course, with the Rice Owls. Noah with the Providence Friars. You'll see Noah Horkler, I'm sure, in the NCAA tournament this year. Providence was 13-2 as of the other day. Noah leads that team in rebounds this year. Matter of fact, so does Max. Max Fiedler leads Rice in rebounds. 47-35, 6:14 to go in the game here on the campus of Melbourne High School. Hope everybody had a great New Year, holiday season. for three. Oh, my goodness. Carlin Gelin, don't touch him because you're going to get burned. 50-35. He's hot. And this is Talib down the floor. No call. And that'll be a jump ball, and this will stay with Melbourne. That is the 5th three of the second half for Carlin Gelin. He's got 17 points. 17 of the 27 in the second half for Melbourne. I think with this 15-point lead, it's safe to say our Brevard Sports Network Uberzati player of the game more than likely going to be Jernigan. Caleb, you are a smart man. I don't know how you do it, bud.
Every once in a while, buddy.
Right? That's a foul. That'll be called on the aforementioned Carlin Gelin. 5:30 to go in this one. Melbourne with their biggest lead of the game at 15. If you're just joining us, what's that call? Be another foul call. This one will be on Nate King. And to the free throw line to shoot two is Mr. Theo Mansell, the 6'2 senior forward. We're talking about the RPIs and the points and what's going to be needed down the stretch. And I think Melbourne's in pretty good shape as far as that RPI goes. Winning games, you know, they've got some big games coming up, the Bulldogs do. Satellite, O'Galley, Rains, Palm Bay, Vero Beach, Cocoa, Clearwater. They're all good games. Underneath, and Nate King comes flying in with the block. And this is Elias Talib. And that goes out of bounds. Back to the Bulldogs. 5:09, 50-35 is the score. Whistle. King with it. I'd give it to Jernigan. He's shooting the lights out of the building tonight. They finally come out of that 2-3 and put a man on him. Nearly stolen away. This is Carlin Gelin, who took 6 steps to the basket, but the foul is on Theo Mansell. No, I'm kidding. And the 64%, 65% free throw shooter is 2 for 2. Excuse me, from the charity stripe tonight. Goes back to the line. His 3rd free throw attempt of the night. In and out. I jinxed him. Combs checks in. Score stays 50-35. Cam Wick says, we want Noah Petroni. Petroni can fire up that ball, man. He's a good shooter. This is Elijah Reynolds takes the ball. And Reynolds can't get it to go, but Combs is there to clean it up, and it's 50-37. And the full court press is on with 4:25 and a 13-point deficit for Holy Trinity. Talib across the timeline with it. Underneath the Gelin, and got him that time. On the travel. .411 to go. Reynolds across it. The midcourt. This is Gowans. And now Parnell tries to save the possession. He will not. King will inbound for Melbourne. Okay, see if I can get Coach Aspie's attention here. Melbourne Bulldogs this year, 6 seniors, 7 juniors, and a sophomore. Quite the opposite on the other side for underneath, and Gelin with 2 more. Gelin with 11, and it's 52-37. Holy Trinity, 3 seniors, 3 juniors, 4 sophomores, and an 8th grader. And they all play. And that's a 3, and it's 52-40. The lead is cut to 12. Off the foot of Nate King, and Reynolds takes it, and they have numbers their way. Whistle, and Steve Henderson knows they had an opportunity at an easy 2 there, and the foul happens. It's going to be on Jalen Clark. And they're going to call it intentional. I don't understand that. But Reynolds drops his first one, and the lead is 11 now. So not done yet here. 3:16 to go. Second free throw is no good. And with the intentional foul, they get the 2 shots, and they get to keep possession. Reynolds across. Combs with it. For 3. Yes, indeed. I don't have his name. Help me out, Kira, number 5. And Carlin Gelin with an exclamation point. And there's a timeout on the floor. So we go from a 3 to a 2, and it's 54-44. Holy Trinity's cut a 15-point deficit to 10 with 2:43 to go. I do not know who number 5 is who just dropped that 3 for Holy Trinity. Always like to see Miss Kira Joyner on the broadcast. What's that? Jay Latson for Holy Trinity. Thank you. Thank you. Jay Latson with the tray. What number is he listed? He's not even on my roster. I don't know why he's not on here. All right. They're counting. They got like, and he gets it across. Reynolds does that. This is Parnell trying to rescue Reynolds. But Reynolds says, I'll just keep it, lay it off, and nearly got the end one. And he'll shoot 2. Foul again on Jalen Clark. That'll be his 3rd. 2:30 to go. 6 fouls now against Melbourne, 4 on Holy Trinity. And the lead is now single digits at 9. You look at it like this is a 3-possession game. If you can hit the 3. And the lead is 8 at 54-46. Much credit to Holy Trinity for not bowing out of this one. Down by 15. They got to play better defense than that, though. Carlin Gelin cleans it up. And the lead is back to 10. Latson with it, loses the grip. Over to Parnell. And across the timeline he comes. Parnell down the lane, off the glass, out of control. And the rebound goes to Jernigan. That's Jernigan in the corner. That's Clark in the corner, my bad. Count the bucket. Carlin Gelin waves to the faithful. And it's 58-46. The lead is back to 12. And with 1:58 to go, that right there will be the nail. The proverbial nail in the proverbial coffin. And the N1 is complete, and it is 59-46. And Coach Stevie Henderson wants a timeout. So far here in the second half, Melbourne's outscored Holy Trinity 36-23. And that 13-point margin is the obvious difference in the game. This was a 1-point game at the half. So while my math is off somewhere, you get the point. And they're shouting they want Noah. Show the camera over there. I say, so there's Hunter sitting at the door in the skull cap. And then go over here, you see Gavin sitting over here. They were at our awards ceremony. He's in the corner down there in the light blue shirt. They were at our awards ceremony the other night. Of course, Gavin Rao, our 2021 BSN Wilbur Marshall Defensive Player of the Year. And Hunter was a finalist for our James Folston Most Valuable Player, which ended up going to Brady Denneberg. Ball is inbounded. Gaskins back to Reynolds. Three, no good. Rebound by Clark. And that's good. Nice looking play there by Parnell. Cut the lead to 11. Jernigan, who's just had him a second half. Baseline, kicks it out, swings it around. Talib with it, 1:20 to go in the game. Nice move there by Talib. Behind the back to Jernigan for three. Why not? Why not? How about it? 62-48. 1 minute to play. Kylan Jernigan falling down from the corner. Whistle and a foul. And Kylan Jernigan will be our Uberzati player of the game. My count is right, 20th point in the second half. 50 seconds to go here. Say Cam was a good ball player. I like watching Cam Wickline play too. Cam was a good basketball player here for Melbourne. .4 seconds to go. 62-50. A 12-point lead. So the Melbourne Bulldogs will move to 12-1, and Holy Trinity will drop to 6-7. Timeout with 36.7 seconds to play. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. the Melbourne cheerleaders for the last time on the floor. Horns blowing as players are getting some time here in the final 36.7 seconds. 62-50, Melbourne on top. Did you graduate, Cam? 2020? That won't fall. Talib will go to the line. Won't fall. Cam was good. I think, I know stats weren't always put up on Max Preps, but I've seen some big nights from Cam. Turnaround three off the side, 20 seconds to go, 12-point lead, 62-50. Now 17.4 seconds to go. Coming up after the game, we'll talk to the player of the game, which we've already determined to be Carlin Gelin, and, of course, talk with Coach Ron Apsey as well. 17.4, 12 points. How about that? Just took that out of there like nothing, and Jay Latson lays it up. And Stevie Henderson says, you know what? I've seen Duke do this once in a blue moon, and maybe we could pull it off. I don't know. How do you make up 10 points in 11.4 seconds? But I love the effort. And this is a coaching moment here for Melbourne, because even though the lead is 10 for them and they're going to walk out of here 12-1, this could be a 2-point game. And you work on that. You know, this is a team right here that's, you're going to see this coming up in February, right? So this type of pressure. So let's go out here and play it, guys, is what Coach is saying. Go out here and act like we're up by 1 instead of 10. And Talib will inbound. It's going to be Talib, King, Jernigan, Gelin. And King. And they say no, it goes off of Jay Latson. 1.1 seconds come off the clock. 10.1 seconds Talib with it. Talib. And that'll be a foul with 7.2 seconds to go. And, Talib will go to the free throw line. Who is that down there, Caleb? Talib. 1-1 is no good. And I stepped on the line. This is the longest 11.2 seconds I've ever seen. 4.5 seconds to go. And if I'm Melbourne, I think Melbourne's got an inbound. 62-52 is our score. This is getting ready to end here. Gelin. And they're not going to blow the whistle. And that'll do it. The final score, the Melbourne Bulldogs move to 12-1 with a big second half as they get the win, 62-52. All right, we'll see you tomorrow at 12:30 from the campus of O'Galley High School for the Lady Commodores and the Lady Vipers of Space Coast. For Athletic Director Dale Buchanan and my partner Caleb Brown and head coaches Ron Apsey and Steve Henderson, I'm Alan Slaughter-Zinski for the Brevard Sports Network. Have a great night, and as always, make it a sports night.